And I was like, everything is a lie. Who is this
His
man?
hair was completely different too. It was like pushed back.
He looked like he just got out the military. I was like, hey y'all, I'm Michael.
I'm Kayla.
And we're going to be breaking down The Last of Us episode 3.
Yes.
So Kayla, what were your thoughts on this episode? It's very different from the game.
One thing I really noticed was Ellie she was so upfront with Joel. I felt like she was really an adult when she was like, hey, I need you to remember that you agreed to this mission and that you agreed to take me there. And so I'm not the fault for Tess dying. Because I feel like in grief, you know, he might lash out at her and he might say some hurtful things to her. Because in his mind, he think, well, if we didn't go on this mission, this is somewhat your fault. You know, the mission wasn't part of the deal to begin with, technically. It kind of just came to be. And so I like that she set that tone because it caused Joel to like take a moment in a second to reflect like, okay, let me not let my grief take it out on this child. Let me just focus on the mission and keep it going. I don't remember seeing that in the game, so I really love the fact that she kind of set the tone moving forward, and I really like that.
It gives Ellie a little bit more agency. She's very sassy, but I think that to me shows that she's also like emotionally mature in a way past her age.
Yeah.
Maybe even in life, you'd be like, you expect the person to be like, hey, I'm sorry. And the other person's like, it's not your fault.
Yeah, exactly. But she's like, no.
It's not my fault.
Let's just make it clear. It's not my fault. Okay. I don't want those problems. Yeah. Is anything else about Ellie that you liked that you caught on?
Yeah, I think that scene where she goes into the basement and she finds the infected who's trapped underneath all the rubble.
Oh, yeah.
There's a line she says in the last episode. She asked Joel if he ever feels bad about killing the infected when there might be someone still in there. He says, sometimes I do. So I think when she saw that infected, like when she cut its face and it didn't react, I think that was her going, okay, there's not a person in there. This is just a husk.
Especially when you see the fungus itself just literally covering the body. Like it's not even flesh underneath her anymore, bone. It's just the fungus.
Right after that, she stabs it and kills it. And that's the first time that we didn't know of that she had to kill an infected. Learning about the world and kind of coming to that realization that, okay, these are just things, they're not living, and I'm going to have to maybe change as a person, become a little bit more hard in order to make this journey.
One thing that I thought that the game didn't really discuss or just didn't clarify was how did it spread so rapidly, you know? And so I like when they're walking and she's trying to get information because school apparently didn't give her any information. So she's asking Joel and she's like, can you give me some understanding? And he's like, why do I have to do this? Like, but he opens up, which I like because Joel is so tough. And he's like, it's spread through food. And he's like, you know, it's spread through bread and pancake mix and cereal. So then it makes you understand, okay. So now we understand that no matter what, it's almost like Walking Dead. You know, they die in Walking Dead and you become infected. At this point, over time, you had no choice because it was in the food, you know, and that explains why by Friday it started, by Monday the world was as we know it now. And I really like that they really broke that down, that it was also seeped into the food to the point where it's gonna get a lot of people.
Gamers were always looking at that and going, well, maybe it's spread through the food supply. So I like that they made that canon. I like that they made that a real part of the show. And I think it's cool when they do that with fans, where fans have a theory and then they confirm the theory.
And now you know we have to talk about Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill! Let me tell you about Mr. Bill, which I love. In the game, Mr. Bill had a really bad temper. He's not that he had a bad temper. He was just really cranky. Like, Ellie is a child, and she was just touching things and, you know, just want to keep some things from keepsakes. And he's like, stop. Like, he's like, and just very, like, short with her and very, like, I don't know, a little snappy. And so I like that they gave you a full arc of Bill. Like, you understand that clearly he's a survivalistic, you know, and he was ready for whatever might come. I like that because those people know in these times, we need a couple. And you understand who he is because you kind of just ran into him in the game and we didn't really have that. And so I like that you see how he designed the place that he's in, how he creates his town for himself. You see it from, you know, beginning and they stretch over time. I love how you meet his partner, who in the game we don't really understand if it's his romantic partner or if they're just business partners. So I like that they give you some understanding about that.
I always wanted more from Bill in the game because I always felt like that was an element of the story that was kind of underwritten, and it was kind of there just really to say, okay, here's how they get a car, here's how they get out of the Boston area.
Yeah.
So in the game, it just kind of felt like it was a stop that they had to make along the way. Yeah, I thought that Bill and Joel maybe knew each other from before the infection.
Right.
I like that they incorporate the idea that like of people after this infection and started and stuff, people trying to like still have friends and community. And I like that when Frank came in, he was the one who gave Bill all that. And he's like, we're going to have friends. And then they go, oh, and the friends are Tess and Joel.
Cool.
And that's how Tess and Joel met Bill and Frank.
Yeah.
And in the game, that's just, it's just a guy he knows.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I like that they totally explain the relationship, and they explain how, Frank was out on the phone, was on the radio talking to Tess, and neither Bill or Joel wanted to meet because they saw it as a unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
And Joel was like, look, I don't care for friends. We can just have a trading relationship. And Bill was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then it was really Frank and Tess who were friends. I like that too, because then you see what happens when at the end Bill loses Frank and he's like, yo, I'd rather just die with you than live alone. That to me is a reflection on Tess and Joel.
Yeah, because in the letter, he even tells Joel, take whatever you need and take care of Tess. Because he in the end, he realized, like, none of this matters if you don't have at least one person in your life to get through anything with. And so I like that, even though we didn't have Tess in that moment, it shadows, okay, well, maybe that would be Ellie for him in this time now, because you don't have Tess. And in that moment, he tries to push Tess farther and farther in the back of his mind to keep moving on. But I love how in the story he's going to be reminded of the people who he loves, because those people are going to help you move forward. The behind the scenes showed us that the creator, like, he wants to stay pretty on point with the game so he doesn't veer off. But he also, if he has a moment, he gives you something to really open the show to make you really understand who these people are. And I love just this whole story with Bill and this whole story with Frank and how he even came into be. That he really makes you understand that these people are, like you said, trying their best to create a life in this new time.
In my opinion, I always wanted more from his character. And so I think that this was a great example. And this was the biggest departure from the game because, Bill's not even alive by the time they get there. Whereas in the game, they have a whole mission together and stuff.
Yeah, so, okay, it's time for you to now go into your cinematography bag,
One thing I just noticed a lot was they found a way to make Bill and Frank's scenes look romantic and inviting without completely changing the character of the show. Like the colors and it was still handheld. It was still probably looked like it was shot on the same lenses. So it had the same texture as the rest of the show, but they just shot backlit, which basically means like the sun is behind what you're looking at and in front of the camera. So there's I thought it was a really clever way to give those moments with Bill and Frank a romantic, inviting look without making it cheesy or making it look too different from the rest of the show. It is still in this bleak world, But yeah, speaking of Bill and Frank's relationship, what did you think about Nick Offerman as Bill?
I mean, it was grade A casting, because I feel like his character is always like the survivalistic kind of guy where he's like knows how to work in any element, and I just feel like that tests to his character and who he is. Like I feel like he's the type of guy who's gonna fit his way into any environment, so he's kind of made for a lot of different just unique characters in that way.
Yeah, it was wild because in the behind the scenes we saw an interview of him and he had a beard, and I was like, everything is a lie. Who is this
His
man?
hair was completely different too. It was like
he looked like he just got out the military. I was
Right.
like, whoa, hold on, is he really just that good an actor?
He is.
It's not even much you could say about his casting because it's just kind of obvious. It's like, what else? Who else would play Bill? That's famous, a famous actor. Of course, I know we all got friends that could play Bill, but I'm saying. Who else could play Bill that's a famous actor that fits him as well as Nick Offerman?
I mean, I don't know. And even his partner, Frank, like, that actor I loved because she was just in White Lotus. So HBO is keeping their talent, it's kind of transferring to a new show, which is cool. And so I love that actor because he's just such an honest actor and he just gives you everything in each moment. And so, I mean, both of them were just like, it's what you need. So, do you have any predictions for the next episode? What are you kind of like feeling? What are you expecting? What do you want to see?
For the next episode, I think we're going to get a bloater. Because I think they got to balance out the fact that by this point in the story, we had the high school fight with the bloater in the game.
Oh, right.
And I think fans of the game we really want to see that. We want to see them. I mean, we want to know how you brought that to reality.
Right.
If I was making the show, I'd be like, okay, we just changed Bill's up so much. By this point, you would have had this whole scene with the bloater. People are going to want to see that. I mean, they put the bloater in the teaser for the season. So I don't think they're going to wait that long. In the game, the moment where she gets the gun and the moment where the bloater comes out and they fight in the high school are two separate moments. I think they're going to find a way to put that in the same episode.
I definitely think you're right in the sense that Ellie is going to level up in just her mindset. Like, I feel like now that she, after that moment where she sees that they don't feel, I think now you're going to see her transform into the Ellie that you start to really see coming in the future and the next game. Like, she's just a different woman. You know, she becomes a woman in the sense that she knows now that it's either kill or be killed.
Scale of 1 to 10 this episode.
I mean, right now it's sitting at a solid 8.5.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I think that it's as good as you can be without being like groundbreaking television. It's not groundbreaking television, so I can't give it a 9 or a 10.
Right.
To me, that's when you get into like that level.
Yeah.
But it was a really great story. It's a great reinvention, once again, of the things that happened in The Last of Us. To make it fun for people like me who have like seen the game a bunch of times, played bits of it. And people who are new to it, I think, obviously, it's just a good story. And they aren't messing it up. It's at the point where if you watch this, so far, I wouldn't necessarily feel like I had to recommend you play the game.
Or it may even make you want to play the game even more just to actually be Joel or Ellie or whoever. Like, to me, if I didn't already see the game, I would definitely, maybe possibly want to play it.
We still have the majority of the season left because I imagine it's going to be at least 8 episodes. I mean, even if it's 6, we're halfway through. So we still got a good amount of season that they could mess up, and they got to stick that landing with, well, for the people who haven't played the game, let me not say it. But yeah, that's what we think. Solid 8.5 from the both of us. We're excited for episode 4. I'm sure that y'all are, and we'll be back with another episode then.
Yeah. So,
Bye.
bye.